What are some hidden dress codes people wear to identify themselves that you have to already know about to notice? It's an old sailor's tradition to wear a golden earring. Don't know if it's just the Netherlands or worldwide, but some of the mainly fisherman towns here have their own specific type of golden earring. So if you see a Dutch guy wearing a big golden earring with a detailed design, you know he comes from a fisherman town. Golden earring tradition was historically done in case a fisherman would fall overboard. The golden earring could cover the costs of a proper burial. The traditional story I'd heard is that the pattern of the wool sweater indicated which island/port he came from, and the gold earring paid for the passage of his drowned body back to his home. So this is probably a very specific Norwegian thing, but the color of your hat is signaling your availability when hiking in the mountains. Red hat means taken, green means available, and orange means that you're open for a chat. This is important knowledge if you're trying to pull a Norwegian, because hiking is the only non-alcoholic activity where a Norwegian will ever talk to a stranger. Ever. This is a great idea. When hiking I try to read people's body language as to whether I should say hello or leave them alone. In the wilderness I always say hello, but in the local parks, where people are just out for the day, I don't want to deprive them of peace and quiet. Anything with pineapple print on clothing while on a cruise means you are swingers. This is good info. I like pineapples and want to go on a cruise, but I'm very much not a swinger. I used to wonder why certain people in my office would wear the same colors as each other sometimes. Turns out they were listening to a radio station here in New York City that would suggest a color for you to wear that day. To me that is hilarious. I'm not sure why that's so funny, but it is. Same here. Reminds me a bit of the Airs elevator in Lemony Snicket's Unfortunate Events series when the residents scramble to acquire whatever and end ditching it as soon as it becomes out. When I was a teenager, a lot of the working class, multi-generation in the area kids from the very rural West Virginian area I moved to wore these, to my teenage eyes, very funny looking polka dot caps with downward pointing brims. At the time I just assumed they got them at this store that still had a lot of 70s dead stock, and it was a trend because they were cheap, and it was the 90s, and we were irony poisoned. It was pretty widespread across a few counties though. They were mostly worn by the kids who already had decided they were not going to college, whether by their own choice or their own circumstances. They were welders' caps. Welder is an aspirational job in the area. If you plan to stay there after graduation, they were signifying they planned to stay and work in the same field their dads did. It didn't even occur to me what it was all about until some high school reunion. Hawaiians wear flowers behind left ear to signify married, right ear to signify single. I wish there were some customs like that everywhere. The only signal I know of that someone is romantically unavailable is the presence of a wedding ring. But even then, A, not all married people wear them. B, some married people are available. C, single doesn't mean available. And D, available doesn't mean interested. E, some single people wear wedding rings to keep from being hassled at the bar too. Though I wish there were totems that were as obvious with the opposite condition. I honestly appreciate that. No woman with a wedding ring is getting my tongue tied. Sputteringly clumsy attempt to introduce myself and find out if she's single and interested. This thread is making me mildly anxious about what messages I'm inadvertently sending because of random clothing and jewelry choices. Lol. Reminds me of when I was in elementary school and we were told not to wear red or black to school because they were associated with certain gangs. I'm feeling the same. We were allowed to wear red or black, but not red and black. Principle, it's time for you to choose one gang or another. I choose the math gang. I hear it's easier to integrate. Yeah. But a lot of their number can be really divisive. There's a lot of this in a hospital setting, though it probably varies quite a bit from one hospital to another. My hospital only provides scrubs to people who work in the OR. Everyone else has to buy their own scrubs. So you can immediately identify surgical vs non-surgical staff. If someone is wearing personal scrubs and a cloth scrub cap, they're probably from a covered unit. If someone sees some covered patients, but not exclusively covered, they'll have their N95 clipped to their scrubs in a paper bag. Respiratory therapists always have small backpacks slash fanny packs slash sling bags with extra supplies. Medical students have short white coats and are required to wear them. Residents usually wear fleece jackets instead of white coats. Doctors have pagers. Nurses usually don't. Emergency room staff have trauma shears for cutting off clothing. Someone with a reflex hammer in their pocket or safety pins on their lanyard is definitely a neurologist. An IUD clip to the ID badge, definitely an OBGYN. Radiologists are often in scrubs because if issued they are often grey with the nuclear sign and look cool as shit. Ties in specific designs can signify which university you attended or private club you belong to such an extent that with certain teamakers in the UK, you have to prove membership before you can buy the tie. A friend's father was constantly failing his advanced driving course, needed it for work, until the time he wore his old school tie. He passed and the examiner mentioned he had gone to that school too. Membership has its advantages. Red shirt means you're expendable and on coming back from the away mission alive. That's a shame. I like Tom Scott's videos. The style of kippah/yarmulke Jewish men wear can tell you how religious they are, where their family's from, their political views, which sect they are/which rabbi they follow, etc. Can you give some examples? I think they'd all look the same to me. Black velvet kippah, you're religious or not religious, but at a very formal event. Black velvet kippah with black trim, you're very religious and very dedicated to learning Torah. Black velvet kippah with a fun trim, you're very religious and a child. Black velvet kippah with a pattern trim, you're from Yemen. Structured pattern kippah, you're moderately religious or a child. Structured novelty kippah, you're religious but it's Purim, a holiday where you dress up and get drunk. You're moderately religious and think you're hilarious. Or you're a child. Tightly knitted kippah in black or blue, you're pretty religious and probably a staunch Zionist. Knit kippah with concentric circles, you're a religious Zionist. Big knit kippah with concentric circles, you're a religious Zionist and might have some pretty right-wing political views. Knit kippah without circles, you're moderately religious. White kippah with a tassel on top, you're from a sect that's centered in Jerusalem and you probably live there. You might have some extremist views. White kippah with writing, you're from the Nanach sect. Colorful pillbox kippah, you're from Central Asia. Really into weed, a hippie, or a child whose parents are tired of you losing your kippah. Satin kippah, you're not that religious. Cheap satin kippah, you're not religious, and it's probably the only kippah you own. You're moderately religious, but you're at a wedding where everyone wears a matching kippah, or you're not Jewish and was invited to a bar mitzvah/Jewish wedding/Jewish holiday. You're wearing any of these at the very front of your head. You're balding and decided that somehow this makes it less obvious, even though it's basically the Jewish version of a comb over. There is a code when it comes to livestock and equestrians that are often not well known. It's most common with horses, but I have seen them used for other animals such as goats who are used to carry supplies when hiking on very rough terrain. These colors can often be universal and can be represented by a ribbon on the tail or a collar/halter of the same color. Red means a horse/animal has a tendency to kick/bite. Yellow, and sometimes blue, means that they are a stallion/intact male, which are known to be moody or aggressive. Green means the horse/animal is inexperienced. White means the horse/animal is for sale. Pink is sometimes used if the female horse/animal is generally moody or in heat. You see this sometimes on dog collars with some shelters or training clubs. Red is aggressive. Green is safe. Yellow is something else, maybe a dog that is insecure, so you need to go slow. Stagehounds wear black. Check for a crescent wrench in the back pocket to confirm. Gaff tape over a logo on their polo. Dead giveaway. In China, your zodiac year is your unlucky year, so your unlucky year occurs once every 12 years. The way to mitigate the unluckiness of the said year is to wear some form of the color red each day. Doesn't need to be a complete red outfit, just something that has red as a part of the pattern. But wearing red every day is a dead giveaway for their age. 24, 36, 48, 60 in the workplace, thus explaining the phenomenon of the red underwear gift. The red underwear is a way to beat the unluckiness of your zodiac year while blending in. So some water cooler talk could go like, hey, did you notice that has worn red 3/7 days this week? Is she 24 or 36? Fascinating stuff. Small stainless steel or iron pinky ring on your dominant hand is an engineer. Specifically an engineer who's pledged an ethics oath. Not exactly a secret, but not well known either. Edit, specified which finger. I guess this is really common in Canada. I got my degree in the US and never even heard of the order until there was one ML blast right before graduation saying, if you want to join, get your application and fee turned in by the end of the week. No one I know did it. And I never noticed pinky rings in the professional world. Fleece North Face jacket. I'm crossing campus in the fall. Canada Goose if you are at a private school. I learned that many kids in my class show up with a $900 jacket. Or a public school and you're out of state. I went to a Madison and you could tell who was a coastie or an international student based on who had a Canada Goose. I went to a Madison too and can back this up. Canadian Goose jackets were strictly the attire of the out-of-state crowd. Usually this meant coasters or international students. But on occasion a rich fib from a Chicago suburb can be seen in one. If their shirt or pants are mildly magnetic, they are probably a machinist. LE5. Most steels are magnetic. If you work with steel enough it just ends up getting everywhere. I have had paper clips stick to my shirt before. Dirndl. Traditional German dress. If you tie your bow from the apron on the right it means you are single, middle equals married, and left is widowed. I believe. It has been a number of years since I was told about it and I might have it backwards. Traditional Bavarian and also Austrian. Right means married/taken. Middle in general apparently can mean none of your business. Middle front means virgin. Middle back means widow. Seems that it can also mean waitress. Left means single. From the POV of the one wearing it. Here in Japan tattoos are related to the yakuza, meaning whether you are a yakuza or not, people with tattoos are not allowed in numerous establishments like public baths, etc. Yakuza don't generally flash their tattoos to the public, so they generally use long sleeve shirts. Sometimes when they use short sleeves clothing they would use arm sleeves to cover up the arm tattoos. It's a dead giveaway that this people are, or have been, mafia related. White cap sleeve shirts under sleeveless tops or dresses, Mormon. Edit, to cover their temple garments/special underwear. I live in Utah so to reverse this. Tank tops in the summer and my ears double pierced to show I'm not Mormon. Military uniforms tell you a lot about the person wearing them beyond their name and rank. You can tell what campaigns they've been involved in, what professional military education courses they've completed, their proficiency with weapons, their occupational specialty and their level of proficiency, how many years they've served, and, at least in the USAF, their MAJCON, wing, and possibly squadron of assignment. Another little secret of the military dress code has to do with hats. A person in uniform wearing a hat indoors indicates that they are armed. The weapon may be concealed or carried openly, but it is a fast way to determine who in a room has weapons. Basically, a military uniform is the equivalent of someone wearing a suit with their entire resume, degrees and certifications on it for everyone to see. Socks with sandals means you've pretty much given up. I thought it meant you're a Linux kernel engineer. It was popular among the math professors. If you see someone with a tattooed on wedding ring it's usually because they work with machine tools or electricity, where having something metal and or conductive on their hand while working can lead to very bad things. I have mine tattooed because I hate wearing jewelry. Mine and my husband's are tattooed because we eloped and the tattoos were cheaper than jewelry lol. Red trousers might be a UK thing, but usually associated with old money upper class type people or eccentricity. The two seem to overlap a fair bit though, or at least it seems so to a commoner like me. After coming out, I learned that, as a woman, using a carabiner to hook your keys to your belt loop is a big lesbian thing. I've been doing it for years. I'm looking at my carabiner, clear phone case, cuff jeans and wondering. Anyone who graduates with an engineering degree in Canada has a steel ring on the pinky finger of their dominant hand. Oddly, women have hit on me after noticing it. Never in my life did I think engineering was a sexy degree. Hey PSSST, please subscribe and like.